So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my Xiaomi 15 Ultra review. This phone might be the camera king. Now, quick disclosure, Xiaomi did send this out for review, but everything in this video is of my own opinions, my own thoughts, and I'm not paid to say anything or anything like that. They were just like, hey, you want to review this? So I was like, yeah, sure. So you can see Xiaomi 15 Ultra right there. You can see this is going to be the global model. Of course, I'm not going to review a non-global model, but you'll see right here your favorite Google apps. A pretty thick box, but you're going to see why when we get into the box itself. So let's go ahead and open this up. We'll go ahead and take a look at the packaging, and it's pretty thick packaging right here because they actually include a case in here. So you'll see designed by Xiaomi right there, SIM card tool because there's still SIM support on here, and you'll see right here we do have ourselves a clear included case, and then some books and stuff like that for the warranty, and then the USB-C Type-C cable. Now, here is the phone right here. Let me go ahead and file this off to the side for 1 second. And then, here you go. Now, it is kind of like sloppy looking a little bit because I did open it before the review. But I do want to go ahead and show you what we have, what we're working with here. So we have the Xiaomi 15 Ultra co-engineered with Leica. So one of the main things here is going to be the Leica 1-inch main sensor, 200 megapixel telephoto. This is a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and we do have a WQHD Plus AMOLED display that is 1 to 120 hertz, and then a long-lasting 5410 milliamp hour battery. So another one of these phones out here giving you one of the better overall experiences with the battery life. You'll see 90 watt wired and 80 watt wireless hypercharging available. And then we do have ourselves, it's powered by the new HyperOS software, which is supposed to interconnect this with their Hyper AI and all that stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you look a little bit down, it says, oh, by the way, our 90 watt wireless charger is sold separately. So not cool. There's a big space right there for the charger, but it's not in the box. Not a fan of that. But, you know, I guess a lot of you might already have chargers, fast chargers, charge your smartphones anyway. So it's probably not the biggest deal. But if you want that blazing fast 90 watt charger, you're going to have to buy that separately if you don't already have one. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the design of this phone right here. So you'll see on the front, we have a 6.73 inch display. It still has those slight curves on the edge, kind of feels nearly flat, but not quite there. You'll see we do have ourselves a punch hole camera on the front that is a 30 megapixel variety on the front. Now on the back, you'll see we do have what is strikingly going to be the most important factor of this phone, the Leica partnership camera right here. This is a Summilux lens, and this thing is capable of some ridiculous results. There's not many phones out there with a 1-inch sensor, so this phone itself is really all about the camera. Like, that's the main reason I even took it in for review, because I wanted to test this camera out. You'll see we do have like a kind of like a matte textured back on the rear, but it's a little bit slippery. If I'm honest, they need to make this more grippy on the next version. Over here, you'll see the Xiaomi branding right there, and then if we go over here to the sides, you'll also see we do have ourselves a power button. Now that power button is ridged there, and we do have ourselves a volume rocker. There's also like a little ridged pattern around the camera right there, kind of reminding you of like one of those cameras you'll turn, although this doesn't turn, although it kind of feels literally just like a lens on the back. That's pretty different in the smartphone world. Most smartphone cameras are pretty similar looking, just different shapes. But you'll see right here, we do have ourselves a SIM card slot, USB-C, and we do have ourselves the microphone holes right there. Now up at the top, you don't find really anything right there, just some antenna lines and stuff of that sort. And by the way, being that this is a global model, it does support a few more bands, but it doesn't support all the main bands. So you're just going to get some of the basic bands if you're using like T-Mobile, AT&T, something like that. So this is not the phone to pick if you want the best 5G. But if you want to just mess around with the camera, this could be a really amazing option. But overall, I feel like the design is quite unique, quite different. It's pretty nice, but I do think the camera bump is rather huge. And while that is a selling point, it's kind of like, it's really like not making it the most ergonomic phone. But definitely the sides feel pretty nice, although the corners are a bit sharp. They're not super soft. But generally, it's a decent design. It definitely is not, it's definitely playing at the top of the line. but I wouldn't say it's the best up there, but it's definitely a nicer phone, but not the largest either at 6.7 inches, 9.35 millimeters thick. It is IP68, but it weighs around 229 grams. This one specifically is 226 on the black color, but if you get that silver two-tone option, that's 229. So it's a little bit heavy, a little bit bulky, but you're paying that price for this massive and amazing camera. You'll see some results later. So when it comes to the display, this thing is pretty nice. It's an OLED display. It goes up to like over 3,000 nits outdoors. That's pretty insane. So the brightness is never going to be an issue for you on this one. In addition, there are plenty of modes and some interesting modes as well. If we go over here to display settings, you'll see we have obvious dark mode options, but you have a sunlight mode here, advanced textures, a reading mode, an AI image engine. You do have yourselves the ability to change between the different settings and more. So there's plenty to do. I particularly like this reading mode. If you go over here and turn this on, you could actually change different textures and color temperatures and stuff of that sort. It really makes it kind of look like one of those e-ink displays if you really mess with it and stuff like that. So overall, pretty good display, very vibrant and very sharp. It's very tack sharp as well at 522 pixels per inch. HDR10 plus support, and it's smooth. So, it's definitely up there with all the other top flagships. That's just kind of what it is for the 15 Ultra. Okay, so HyperOS on board here, this is HyperOS 2 actually, comes with some included AI features. You can see, just like a lot of phones these days, you pull down from the right and there's your quick controls, pull down from the left, that will be your notifications. You can also go ahead and hit edit and you'll see all these features on board, including things like link to Windows over there, charge via the camera grip, which we'll show you in a little bit. We do have the Mi remote. And then you do have some of these other features right here as well. You can add a little bit more. So there's plenty to do up there, but it continues to go on and on when you go into the settings. So let's go into settings here. And if we scroll down into settings, you'll see Xiaomi does have their Hyper AI engine in here now. So you do have all these like AI features. You'll have like creativity assistant, dynamic wallpapers, writing. So just another phone doing more AI. This is the year of like all the phones doing AI search, AI subtitles, AI interpreter. The AI stuff is here. Let's put it that way. You can also hold the key down on the right for Gemini, just like some other phones. You can also change what that power button does. And then if we go into settings, you'll see we have tons of personalization, including different fingerprint effects, which are pretty nice actually. We have a lot of these on other phones as well. But we also have different fonts, themes, dynamic wallpapers. And you'll see here's the included system wallpapers that come on this global version of the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. And they're pretty decent. These are the ones you're probably going to see in the marketing pictures right there. But you have these gradient wallpapers. You have some natural patterns, some floral arrangements, and more. So these wallpapers are decent. One thing I'm not a major fan of this phone is I feel like it came with a lot of bloatware apps. So I had to delete a bunch of apps off of here. It has more bloatware than I've seen on a lot of different Android phones. So I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. I think they just need to, for the global model, just leave it mostly just the base apps and just like put the Google apps only. Because I seen like I had TikTok pre-installed. Like I don't even use TikTok. So like I didn't like that. But anyway, that's just something I wasn't a fan of. It just seemed a little bit more cluttered with apps to start out. But if they could fix that, it would be a little bit more clean. If we scroll down here though, you'll see security and privacy, apps, battery settings, and just like most other phones, you have different battery protection settings. Also, this is kind of how the multitasking will look right there. And of course, as being an Android phone, you are going to have different features with multitasking. So this thing is really pretty much in competition with most Android phones in terms of having a lot of features, customization, and all that. So that's basically the HyperOS, and they have their watch and their scooter and their car and all that stuff. So basically their own little ecosystem going on here. And this one is just a camera beast in their lineup right here. This phone generally performs incredibly well. It has the Snapdragon Elite. It does have the, that 16 gigs of RAM. I do have storage of like 512 gig on here. So speed wise, it's fine. Also, if we go into settings, I think it was under display again. If I go down here, they actually let you change the refresh rate, but there was an area for animations. It wasn't in there. I seen it earlier. Let's see, animations here. Animation speed under home screen. So you can actually change this between balance, fast, and relaxed. And if you want like that smoother look, you can do relaxed. If you want a quicker look, you can speed it up. If you want balance, somewhere in between, you can do that. So like, you know how I talk about the animations with other phones where like Samsung is a little faster, maybe Apple's a little more relaxed, somebody's other phone is maybe more balanced. You could do all of them right on this phone. So that's a pretty neat touch, I would say. But yeah, DDR5 memory, UFS 4.1 storage via the transfer here. In addition, this is a 3nm chip on board. The thing just flies. I mean, what else is there to say? We could talk about it all day. It's just like every other 8 Elite. Welcome to the club. It's like every other 8 Elite phone out there. It just absolutely flies. So this is the year of phones flying so fast through AI, through all the performance stuff you need, that you're going to be like set for several years and you have laptop level performance on your phone in your pocket. And you probably are actually faster than some laptops, and this phone is no exception. I will say though that the HyperOS, when you first boot it up sometimes, is a little stuttery. I found it to be a little stuttery. Once it warms up, everything is good to go. And I do find sometimes certain apps with the dynamic refresh kind of like don't scroll smooth. So I feel like I had to enable the 120 hertz all the time if I wanted all the apps to scroll smooth. So I feel like they should fix that dynamic refresh. It sometimes doesn't scroll smooth or knows when I need it to scroll smooth, like when I'm in an article it was doing it. You're supposed to turn off the 120 hertz when I'm watching a video or something, not necessarily when I'm scrolling when I need it. So that's something they could work on. And also, if you think this is like too much going on in here, you can also change those home settings to just have a home screen only option as well. So this is where we're really going to talk about this phone. You know, the camera, Leica partnership. Some of these are Sony image sensors as well. You'll see right here, we do have ourselves the periscope camera. That's 200 megapixels right there. We have a main LYT 900 image sensor, which is going to be 50 megapixels. All of these are, and it's a spherical lens as well. All of these cameras are super high megapixels, super high image quality on the back especially, and they're all doing this in a phone. So like, it's pretty wild, like how crazy sharp these photos look. I think this might be one of the first phones that you can truly replace like a $3,000 camera with. I'm not even kidding with you there. I was pretty blown away at the image results. I don't even think you would need like a Sony A7 series unless you're just really into photography and you want to use an actual camera. This is one of those phones. Let's go ahead and take a look at what else they sent out. The Xiaomi 15 Ultra Photography Kit, the Legend Edition. So if I go ahead and open this up, this is only going to improve the camera experience. So let me go and open this up real quick. And you'll see what we have on board here is the Xiaomi's. They give you these like lens caps right here, and you can change these different removals and photography kit tool right there. So if we go over here and we pull this out, you'll see inside we do have a camera kit case. So we'll put that on in a second. And then we have the camera grip. Now the camera grip is going to be to kind of let you take photos, change exposure ranges, and also hit the record button. So this is pretty neat. I mean, it really is. I mean, you could order these on Amazon, like some cheap versions of these type of things, and put it on any phone. But this one is included with the software. So that's a pretty different thing you're not going to see on all smartphones, to have a kit like this to make it a true, you can tell they're just going for the camera here on this phone. This is definitely a game changer for photographers who want to like put their phone in a grip. I mean, they had it last year, but if you've never done this, you just kind of put it in there. Let's put that in there, and then we'll go ahead and just kind of like, just like that. And now look at this. This is like a whole camera. And by the way, this thing will charge your phone as well. This grip will charge your phone, and you can like take photos with this as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these camera rings. So if you want like a circular camera ring that's black, you can go ahead and put that on. They're kind of like trying to mimic that kind of feel of like putting a lens on. And then if we go over here, you'll be able to go ahead and just kind of like turn that on, and you'll see, look at that. Look at that. It looks like an actual camera. Now, one thing I found funny was I thought about something. I took one of my lens caps and I was like, this kind of looks like a lens cap from my camera. Will this fit on here? And sure enough, it did. Look at that. I mean, I know this is not a Lumix camera, but you can get just like a regular black lens cap. You can actually cover the camera lens with a real camera lens cap. So that is just That is just insane. I've never seen a smartphone with something like that before, like a lens that large. All right, so now we're in the camera. Let's take a look at some of the feature set. So we do have 0.6x. We do have 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4.3 times. One of the things that really stands out about this phone is the sharpness of the photos. They are ridiculous sharp. I mean, they look like, and the fact that they kind of process them relatively quickly, they look like the results you would get out of like a $3,000 camera. Let's look over here. You'll see we do have ourselves a Leica authentic lens. You can also change it between Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic. Now you can also go over here. You have portrait modes, document modes, and if you swipe up, you have even more settings. So you have settings like Ultra HD, a fast shot, dual video, movie mode, which you can kind of record in a movie format. And then we do have ourselves things like dual video, which is nice, super moon if you want to take shots of the moon, and long exposures for those of you into long exposure photography. If we go over here, you can also move these items down to kind of like put them in the area you want. You've seen that on other phones before, nothing new. And then over here, you do have different exposure settings. Now, if we go up here and pull down, you'll see we do have super macro modes, different aspect ratios, timers, watermarks, and more settings. So if we dive into more settings, you'll see there is different camera grip settings, shutter buttons, EVs. You can change between things like shutter, continuous zoom on the lever. You can change what the video button does. So, I mean, it's a customizable grip as well. This is definitely going to make you feel more camera-like, as a lot of cameras tend to have customizable buttons on the camera body itself. So that's kind of like what this is trying to emulate. It's more of a real camera. You also have AI recommendations. In addition to that, you'll have image formats you could change between, JPEG, HEIFF. And over here, picture quality, you can do high, super picture quality, standard. So I'm guessing if you don't like the over sharpened effect, you can like lower that down. You can change the shutter types. You can also do fast shots, motion tracking, focus. And then if I go back over here to settings, there's a lot of great video settings as well, different video encoders. In addition to that, Dolby Vision, audio frame rates, grid lines, it's all here. This is a true powerhouse pro camera. One of the better options out there for those of you who want pro. But really where it just shines is when you actually start to see the picture results. They're super tack sharp. It's crazy good. And then if we go over to video, this is where we have even more feature set over here. You can do 8K at 30, you can do 4K at 60, and this is going to give you ability to do 10-bit log recording at 4K 60. That is something that you only find on top tier flagship mirrorless and some full frame level cameras. So that is crazy good. Also, you can do 4K at 120 on this phone as well, which is something you've been seeing on phones starting to make their introduction. You can do cinematic video. It has a 4 mic array, and it also has ultra image stabilization. So when you are recording this video, it's going to be very stable. So overall, let's take a look at how this actually would perform. So you're holding this camera grip here, and honestly, it's kind of bulky. So I wouldn't use it if I'm just like walking around, but if I'm walking around doing photography only, I'm definitely going to use it. So you can kind of just hit this button right here, and it should. So when you're in the camera, this button will actually focus down, just like a real camera. Half press will focus. And then I have it set to zoom right here. So when you hit this, it kind of goes to the next zoom level. You can also do the slower zoom if you want to like just pinch the zoom. You could do that here. But on the lever, you can also kind of like set it to where it continuously zooms. Also over here, you do have yourself exposure settings, so you can change exposure. That feels very natural. And then you have a dedicated record button if you just want to record some video, and it will automatically switch to the video setting as it recognizes that. So very simple to use, but also pretty useful for photographers. In addition, you can go ahead and lock this camera grip so it doesn't somehow fall off. So if you want to lock it or unlock it, you can do that. Keep in mind, if you do place this camera grip on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, when it's off, it will power the phone on as there's a battery inside there. So you've seen that this camera is just loaded with the features. That's why it took a while to talk about it. The front camera is not quite the level of the back one. So if you're looking for like the best front-facing camera, I'm not sure this is it. This is really a focus on the rear camera. The front video is a little bit too close to my face, if I'm being honest. But the rear camera is where it's at. So take a look at some of my samples, and let me know your thoughts on this Xiaomi 15 Ultra camera. So here's some front-facing video with the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. This is going to be at 4K 60. You can see this is also pretty sharp, so this will be a pretty good phone for, replacing a real camera. This is basically a camera on a phone. I wish other manufacturers would really go to town on making this a very big priority, as we are paying $1,000+ for our camera phones. They should be matching that of maybe $800,000, mirrorless cameras or something like that. And this is one of those first phones that I feel like actually is kind of coming very, very close to that. It really is. The whole back looks kind of like a lens. So yeah, it's a Xiaomi 15 Ultra from the front. And another thing I wanted to mention was this case. While it might look like a leather grip, it is actually kind of slippery. It's not that grippy. So Xiaomi needs to improve this back material. Like it looks like leather, but it does not feel grippy. So they need to take some notes from some OnePlus cases, because they definitely do a much better job with the grippy case than this one. So if we go down here to battery, you'll see over here 27 hours remaining. This is a pretty large battery, 5410, and I gotta say, it's kind of like most other phones to me. It like lasts a full day and then some. The camera really hits this phone, I found, though, when I'm using it heavy. When I took this out, it was really draining the battery with heavy camera usage, especially 4K video. Using the camera battery grip helped it stay charged. But by itself, the camera does drain some battery. Of course, though, cameras on most phones and gaming will drain the battery. But on the whole, this is definitely one you could count on. And it does charge fast, provided you have a fast charger. Although, be aware, if you are charging at 90 watts, you will be draining the battery's longevity, though. If we go down here to battery, you can see, just like most other phones, this also tells you the cycles. It will tell you the manufacture date of the battery. In addition to that, it will tell you battery health. You can also turn on battery protection, like most other phones, and you can go ahead and extend that battery out right there. So yeah, that's basically it for this phone. I have really nothing else to say. I will say it's smooth, it's fast. I'm not the major fan of HyperOS. I think it's a little too much bloatware, a little cluttered by comparison to some other software. It's not the best looking software in my opinion, but the camera results are some of the best I've seen out there on a phone today. If you're going to buy this and you're not in countries that have the support for these bands, make sure you check those out first. I will say in the US specifically, these global smartphones usually only support some of the basic bands, so it's definitely not going to be better than some of your competitors out there for phone calls and 5G performance. But if you were just buying this to try out the camera, that could be definitely a huge deal. But it was interesting. It was interesting giving this one a run. This camera is pretty insane. I would say, is it the camera king? I think it might be. For smartphones, they went above and beyond with the camera here. And it has fast chip, fast performance, good battery life. The camera grip extends it. Yeah, it's definitely up there. Definitely up there. So we'll see if it retains its crown for the rest of this year when we get to the best smartphones of the year for the camera crown. But let me know your thoughts on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Do you think this is one you want to pick up? Do you really, really love doing photography on your phone and videos and doing all kinds of high quality photography? Are you planning on getting this? Let me know down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well. And peace.